If you're part of a nonprofit or if you benefit from a nonprofit, what would you think if that nonprofit received a transformational grant of over $100,000? Pretty awesome, right? Stay tuned because our guest today will tell you how it could happen for you. Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Scan FYI. How is everyone today? Hey, Mary Beth.
Good morning, Andrea. How are you?
Good to see you. Very good. I feel like spring is springing.
Yes.
In full force, which is a good thing, right?
We're getting there. We're getting there. So good morning, everyone. I'm happy to have with us today Deirdre Spiropolis from Imapct100. Good morning, Dierdre.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Great, doing well. Got my coffee. I'm ready.
That's right. We got. Hold up that mug so everyone gets to see it.
There we go.
That's right.
We love swag.
Exactly. Yes. So yes, Deirdre is here today to talk a little bit about Imapct100. So Deirdre will let you tell us what it's all about and what you do for the organization.
All right, wonderful. Well, thank you ladies so much for having me today. As you said, my name is Deirdre Spiropolis and I am the president and co-founder of Imapct Jersey Coast. We are an all-volunteer organization here in Monmouth County. We are basically a grant-making collaborative of women. How it works is we gather together every year and we try to get at least 100 women or more. Each woman donates $1,000 and that money is then pooled together so that we can award a six-figure grant of $100,000 or more to local nonprofit here, which we vote upon. So the whole concept behind it is one woman, one donation, one vote. We each donate the same amount and we each get an equal vote on where that funding is going to go. And it's actually something that I can't take credit for the idea. It is very much of a global movement. There are over 65 Imapct chapters in the world, mostly, of course, in US. It was actually founded in 2001, started in Cincinnati by a woman named Wendy Steele. And it's a very interesting concept because it is supposed to be for women of all walks of life, wherever you're at. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it could be a retiree, it could be a stay-at-home mom, you know, it's built for the busy woman. And the idea is to make, you know, being part of your community and making an impact accessible to anyone. If you can volunteer your time and sit on a committee, that's wonderful. If you can't, that's wonderful too, because you're making that same donation and you have that equal vote of everyone else. So that's kind of the general idea. You know, there's a lot of other moving parts to it that I'm sure we'll talk about. But when I personally learned about it and read about the movement, it just resonated with me immediately. And I said, let's just try and do it. So here we are.
So when did your Jersey Coast chapter start?
So we kind of began planting the seeds and doing more research in late 2015. And then we were able to start our recruiting in the fall of 2016. And in our first year, so we recruited for about 4 months. In our first year, we got 145 women to sign up. And so that allowed us to give a grant of $145,000. So that was, you know, beyond our expectations. And each year we've grown and it's been amazing. So in our 5 years now of existence, we've awarded over $1.6 million and we've given grants to 14 different nonprofits, all here in Monmouth County.
Well, can I say, first of all, I mean, that's a wow for sure. And the fact is, you know, a lot of, if anyone, obviously SCAN is a nonprofit, we've received some benefits from you as well. We've participated. But the fact is that there aren't too many grants out there that are transformational on this level. And I love the fact that you are specifically targeting nonprofits to give your money to, and you're keeping it within the community where everyone lives, which that's a great feeling, right?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I love the fact that it was hyper local, women coming together to support our community. And when I first, started reading about it, and I had a lot of conversations with the founder, Wendy Steele, and I asked, well, why not 10 grants of $10,000? Like, that's impactful, right? Like, we could hit 10 groups. And the whole idea is exactly what you said, Andrea. It's the transformational piece. It is the equivalent of a nonprofit winning the lottery. And what we say is dream big, think outside the box. What could you do with this large infusion of capital to reach an underserved population, to have a high impact on your beneficiaries, and really address unmet needs? And that's the whole idea. And it's also important to note that, it's not just women coming together saying, oh, we like XYZ nonprofit. It's a very rigorous grant process where they have to tell us dollar for dollar where that funding is going to go. So it's project and program related, not, necessarily just a blank check and here you go, So we love the fact that we know dollar for dollar where our funding is going.
Can you give some examples, please, of some of the awardees from last year, just so our audience gets an idea of who got it and what's going on?
Absolutely. So last year we were able to award 4 grants of $114,000 each.
I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And you kind of vote in this one night where the finalists present to our membership, and we tally the votes that night. So it's definitely a very palpable, very exciting night. We had to do it virtually this year, like everything. Usually we gather together, a lot of women in one room, and it's, very emotional. But I'll say it was actually equally emotional and really inspiring, even doing it virtually. The finalists were still able to make their presentations. We tallied the votes and, announced that same night, and they gave acceptance speeches. So it really was, for me personally, a highlight in 2020 and an otherwise crazy, crazy year. So our 2020 grantees were Aslan Youth Ministries, Fulfill, the former food bank of Monmouth and Ocean County, HabCorp, and Monmouth Museum. And so something else to kind of highlight about impact is when we ask the nonprofits to apply, we ask them to tell us what category their project or program is in. And we have 5 categories. We have children and families, health and wellness, education, arts and culture, and environment, parks and recreation. And the idea behind that is we really want to impact the needs across our community.
Right.
And so this year we were able to give a grant in education, health and wellness, children and families, and arts and culture. So those organizations are off and running with our grant funding. We kind of sign a grant agreement with them, and we're really there to support. They're the ones that are doing the amazing work. They're dialed into the community. We're here to support them, especially with COVID. If things change and they need to pivot, we want to make sure that we're understanding and supportive, and really making sure that those dollars go to the best use.
Well, this has definitely been the year of the pivot. This is the second year of the pivot.
Yes,
For sure.
I would agree.
Let me just remind everyone that we will supply you with it's Imapct100. It's the Jersey Coast chapter, correct? And
Correct.
we'll put all of that information in the comments on Facebook as well as YouTube. So if you're part of a nonprofit organization, or as I said earlier, if you benefit from a nonprofit organization, maybe your nonprofit is not familiar with Imapct100, but you know what? They should be, because now is your time when you're getting ready for the grant application time. So Deirdre, kind of tell us a little bit about how that all works.
Yeah, we are literally just open yesterday on April 5th. So right now, the cycle is between November and March is our big membership drive. I mean, people can join at any point, but that is the time where we're trying to raise the funds for that year's grant. Right. Grant funding. So we closed that in the middle of March, and we announced our grant amount, which was $430,000. We divided that up equally. So that's going to be $107,500, 107.5. And so now the nonprofits know what they would be applying for, right? Because that's the exact amount that they would submit for their project. So we had some nonprofit information sessions, and I would say for any group or individual that wants to learn more about that, about our grant, about our eligibility requirements and just in general the process, to go to our website, to our grants page, because that was all recorded, the information session, and that is chock full of great information about our process. So right now, what nonprofits can do is they'll apply for eligibility. And that basically is a pretty simple 10 questions. What we want to make sure is it's a rigorous grant process. So we don't want a nonprofit to start applying for our grant if they're not ultimately eligible, because we have, baseline requirements. It's a 6-figure grant. There is some operating, finances that need to be in place. And just, again, that it's a 501c3. So those baseline questions, you could go in today and submit that eligibility. And then you will receive, if you're eligible, the link to begin applying for our grant. And that grant application is due June 1st. So the nonprofits are going to be very busy in the next couple weeks. And then once that once our applications come in, that's when it gets really exciting with Impact. What we do is to our members, we invite them, anyone who has the time and availability and desire can be trained, and they will sit on those 5, how I talked about the 5 categories. We have 5 of those groups, those committees that will review the grant applications, score the grant applications, discuss them together as a group. And that's, again, in those 5 teams, if you will. And then for the ones that progress, the groups, the nonprofits, that is, they will receive site visits. And that is, fantastic. Having attended site visits, it really allows you to unpeel the onion and understand more about the project, because what's written on paper is one thing, but to really meet the, executive director and the board members and to see oftentimes where the project's going to be taking place brings so much to light. And our members have said that that is one of the highlights, because just as a normal person off the street, you wouldn't really be able to get that deep with a nonprofit. So they really enjoy that piece. And then the groups will convene and ultimately decide what group. They pick one from each. That's why we have 5 finalists at our annual meeting that they'll put forward. And they will then present, they being the finalists, at our annual meeting, which happens in November. So every month there's something going on. We are very, very busy. Like I said, we're all volunteers, but what has impressed me so much over these last 5 years is the passion, the commitment, and just how incredibly savvy and smart our members are. And just how much I've learned personally from the nonprofits and from the women I've been working alongside.
Well, tell us, for folks out there who might be interested in joining the organization as a member, tell us a little bit about what is it like to be a member of Impact 100?
Sure. Well, in a normal year, when we do gather in person, it is, just a lovely way to meet other really smart women from all different ages and backgrounds. So let's say you want to kind of get involved and serve on a grant review committee, what I talked about, that whole process. You can just basically sign up and attend a training, and then you're in with your group of, about 20 women. So it's a nice opportunity, like I said, to network, to learn about these other great women in the community. And then, of course, the nonprofit piece. So to learn that. We have other women who volunteer their time on our membership team, which is incredibly helpful. Attending events. Oftentimes we hold them in members, again, in a non-COVID year. Wine and cheese in a member's home, or a coffee. Sometimes we do them in public spaces as well. We have a marketing team. We're always kind of looking for people to help us with social media and really getting the word out, because we're still, fairly new. And sometimes we don't realize, people are like, I've never heard of you. And you're like, we need to do a better job. So when I tell you there is something for everyone, any member I meet that I talk to, I say, well, what do you want to do? Someone might be an accountant by day, but they might not want to spend their volunteer time crunching numbers.
Right.
We get that. They might want to do something in the marketing field, or vice versa. We love accountants. We're always happy when anyone has a very, very specialized skill. But, again, at the end of the day, it's you choose your level of participation. On the event side, we have our annual meeting every year, which, again, I mentioned is just such an exciting night. We typically have a membership reception after we finish our membership drive. So in like right now, we would typically be gathering and just kind of celebrating the fact that, you know, what our grant amount is and announcing that amount. And then this summer, we're, you know, hoping to kind of do some safe, smaller gatherings if we can in person, because we've heard really from our members how much they're wanting to get together. And so,
Definitely. Yeah.
yeah.
I think it really speaks to the power of collaboration because Mary Beth and I spoke about this earlier. You know, $1,000, you might feel that it's not significant enough to make a difference to an organization, but now you gather together 400 plus women. That's a lot of thousands of dollars, and now you're transformational. So I think that's one of the compelling reasons to be part of Impact. You are truly making an impact. There's lots of grants out there, but this is a transformational grant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of the taglines of other impact groups are the power of one multiplied by many. And that's exactly what it is. And I can never stress, you know, we had a lot of growth in our early years. And I think some women were like, oh, you've got this. Like, you don't need me. And we're always like, we do, because, you know, even that 430 women that we got this year, if it was 429, you know, if Sarah didn't join or Peggy didn't join, it would be less. So I loved personally the idea that, you know, it really is every single member, every single dollar. And that is huge and impactful, just like the name.
Okay, Impact 100. So again, if you're part of a nonprofit or you benefit from a nonprofit, you need to know about Impact 100. And you know what, if you would, Deirdre, just give out your website. We're going to put it out there, but for people who want to apply for the grant or just need to know more, what is your website?
So it's www.imapct100, the number, jerseycoast.org. And if you're anything like me, I can't type that much. So I would just Google it, Impact JC or Jersey Coast, and that will get you to us. You'll find us that way.
So depending on where you live in New Jersey and where you're watching this, I see that there are 4 Impact 100s in New Jersey.
Absolutely. Yeah, they've been popping up. We were the second of 4. So the very first one started about 3 years before us, Impact Garden State. And they're kind of based in the Morris County, Somerset, that area. And then there's Impact Essex, obviously in Essex County. And then there's Impact South Jersey. So yeah, and they're wonderful women. Like, we really share a lot of information and, you know, oh, we're trying this program. Like, so it's been wonderful to collaborate with those women and learn what they're doing in their particular areas.
Making an impact across the Garden State. What a wonderful thing.
Absolutely. It is a wonderful thing. And thank you for doing that. It's just really great to shine a light on Impact 100. For anyone who didn't know about it, you need to know about it. Yeah. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it, Deirdre. Yeah.
And thanks for the great work that SCAN does. You know, it's
a
fantastic organization.
Thank you. Yeah, we've done our share of pivoting, and we're doing really well. I'm happy to say, you know, knock on some wood or something. We're doing all right. We really are. And remember out there, if it's important to you, it's important to us. I'm Andrea Tarr. We'll see you next time on SCAN FYI. Bye, everyone. Take care.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.